What is up guys, Greedy Knight here with a discussion on how the title updates are being handled. I'll review the current title updates and analyze what they got right and what they got wrong. Let's get into it. While many forum goers will go to battle over what constitutes a good title update, there is only one definition that is promised by Capcom via the roadmap and various Twitter updates. A title update will always have quote-unquote new monsters, new armor and weapons to accompany the expanded roster, new features added at the whim of the developers, and quests enabling you to hunt said monsters. Bug fixes are not required for every update since they can be added in between versions, but any major balance fixes like weapon buffs should accompany them. This is a good functional definition of what to expect. A title update can only be bad if it omits one of the listed qualities advertised by a given update. Any complaint stating otherwise is nothing more than a nitpick. A good title update should provide an enjoyable experience for all players, time attackers, casuals, and everyone in between. The quality and quantity of new monsters, gear, and features all influence whether an update is perceived as good by the community. However, an important yet passive quality for a good title update is whether it addresses ongoing problems in the current version of the game. It can be gameplay improvements, minor bug fixes, balances, tweaks, and so on. This requires context from one update to another. Some design decisions get stale and require a refresh from update to update, while others need an overhaul to maintain player enjoyment. In the extreme case, game-breaking bugs are the killers of enjoyment, since it forces a number of players to put the game down to avoid risking the bug attacking them until the issue is solved, or suffer the wrath of the bug corrupting your save file. While technically not a title update, the Sunbreak update was the biggest one. Rise was lacking good weapon balance, had a quote-unquote low count of 40 unique monsters, a Valstrax-centric meta, and lacked a formal endgame loop. Sunbreak addressed these issues by reworking the roster with fixes and silkbind attacks so that there was a better power balance between weapons. 17 new monsters were added with a plethora of quests, weapons, and armor in tow. Fan favorites like Gormagala, Seregios, and Aslos were targeted picks to make the roster focus more on quality rather than quantity. The meta shifted to Dereliction Life Drain, with the old school attack crit builds serving as a non-suicidal alternative. Element weapons became dominant for a majority of multi-hitting weapons, enforcing the 5 infinity sets for element builds. The afflicted mechanic served as a formal endgame loop. It was designed to be redundant, but you could pick your poison of redundancy by farming the monsters you wanted to fight for each type of afflicted part, rather than forcing you to fight every monster in the game for parts. The base Sunbreak update was the most padded in terms of content, blowing past 100 hours of gameplay easily. With this precedent, the title updates only needed to build upon the basis of Sunbreak's gameplay pillars, fixing what needs to be fixed, adding new monsters, tweaking the meta, and bolstering the afflicted mechanic to remain fresh. Title Update 1 brought with it 4 new monsters, the investigation system, armor augments, and a game-breaking bug. Mid-update, there was a deflating of the health pools for afflicted monsters to make the hunts in general more manageable. As for the 4 new monsters, they were pretty solid in terms of fight and gear. Time attackers showed many a run with these new monsters, especially since the Forlorn area is the perfect single area map. Seething was the least impactful in terms of gear, while the Metal Wraths cracked open the meta with chain crit pieces and element exploit. Lucian had the best overall weapons, while Silver Wrath provided solid picks for weapons lacking a good fire option. The investigation system served as Master Rank 2.0, making you grind to the max level after you finish grinding to Master Rank 100 for endgame fights. Also, weapon augments gained a set of upgrades that required a new tier of afflicted materials to farm for. Paired with armor augments, the investigation system provided enough content to sate most players up until the second update rolled around, and then some. However, it wasn't all good in Elgato. For starters, the game-breaking bug in question was the infamous corrupted save file bug that was oddly the result of having too many guild cards in your list. You would not be able to access your save data without an error, effectively killing that file. And the solution to this was a PSA from Capcom instructing you to delete your guild cards If that didn't work, call up Daddy Capcom for a retrieval of your data. Yikes. At best, this solution was a band-aid on a gashing wound. Since it was exceedingly rare, a majority of players enjoyed the update without this issue, but horror stories on Reddit had the community send the Fs in chat for those who were robbed of their characters and files. Title Update 1 was an otherwise solid update. For Title Update 2, the save file bug was fully addressed, and to my knowledge, Capcom worked with anyone who lost their save data and did what they could to retrieve it. They also reduced the tracking on monster AI, since it was nearly impossible to dodge any attacks, forcing you to counter at all times. With this change, evade sets and evade skills became more viable. Adrenaline Rush stepped up to a semi-meta status for weapons that could abuse the evasion proc. 5 afflicted monsters were added, most of which are complete pains to fight with the Curio buff. Flaming Espinas, Violet Mitsutsune, and Risen Chameleos are solid fights. All do their job of punishing counters with delayed multi-hits or jank hitboxes. Paired with the tracking change, this results in a shift from counter everything to evade and or counter everything. Vespinas gave fire poison weapons with a burst attack razor sharp set, rocking good slottage, while Risen Chameleos introduced element exploit but for poison weapons in the form of build-up boost. Chameleos Blessing, Burst, and a number of other skills got new decos, changing the pieces you use by emphasizing good slots with armor lock skills. Handicraft level 4 can feasibly replace Protective Polish thanks to the same slottage and easy access to Razor Sharp. Lastly, layered weapons topped off the update for the fashion hunters, making it a good update overall. Just like with Title Update 1, not everything was ideal on the back end. Modders became prevalent again, spamming hacked afflicted investigations in online hunts. It forced Capcom to make yet another announcement and mid-update fixes to address them. The PSA boiled down to if the quest looked sketchy, it was sketchy. And just like the strangers with candy, say no. It is good hub etiquette to just stay offline if you are using any form of mod or hack. And for the most part, this issue has been addressed and fixed by Capcom. Anyways, this was a lengthy discussion on the updates to this point. Like if this video was useful to you, consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this, and I will post videos like these reviewing every update moving forward. Comment down below any thoughts you have on the title updates and what you personally want to see in the upcoming ones. That's all I got for this one. Greedy Knight, signing out.